Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Sometimes, when it comes to War Thunder, there are just ridiculous things that happen. And today is one of those days where it seems like it's just a complete series of unfortunate events. And I thought I would kind of show you what at least was posted about a week ago and has started going around different military circles. So, first of all, this was sent to me by Gunmaster, who was like, "What is this? Like, this is kind of crazy." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll have a look at it." And it is pretty crazy. Basically, there is a military convoy of equipment that was going to Moscow. You can see by the title of the video. The original video is in Russian, but it's also translated to English. And what it is probably for the Victory Day Parade. If you didn't know, every year Russia does a Victory Day parade in Moscow. Basically, shows off some of their military stuff since the invasion of Ukraine. It's been pretty neutered, though. There hasn't been a lot of tanks, hasn't been a lot of, AFVs or anything like that. In this convoy, there's a few more of them, which I think is kind of fun, but no like actual tanks. So maybe the idea is this convoy is stuff that is going to be in the Victory Day parade, right? So you have some obviously police stuff, you have probably some more kind of secret police stuff. And then also you have a bunch of vehicles, whether it be like trucks, missile launchers, SAM systems, stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. And this whole convoy basically shows everything that's kind of moving to Moscow. You have stuff like this, things like BTRs and other vehicles. It's amazing how quick these things move, by the way. Just in the video, you have the big boys, which are obviously going in, and you can see they all have the marking on it, which is kind of usually for Victory Day, with the red star and then the stripes, the black and orange. You can see some little jeeps here and there, and also, as I said, some really interesting kind of AFVs that maybe in the future we will see in War Thunder. Like, you'll be able to see a bunch of different stuff, but they're all painted nice, and they're all have like the insignias. So it's obviously for the parade, right? Like, there's not or a parade, maybe not the one that's usually televised, might be for a different one in a different part of the city. But it's pretty obvious this is going to be part of the parade, which seems like it's going to have a few more vehicles compared to previously. And for me, I actually enjoy watching these parades because it's kind of cool to see like different nations and what they have kind of sorting. Like, you can see here, they have some kind of AFEs. I can't remember which ones they are. If you know, please let me know. I know I've seen them before. I just can't remember the specific name of them. It looks like basically the modernization of like the BMP idea. But yeah, it has a specific name. No idea. But they have a few of those, which are kind of cool, being transported in to the city. And so at least we'll have some tracked presence instead of just like the T-34s, which they've had the last few years, which, to be honest, has been quite sad to see. And you got some logistics vehicles, whether it be like troop carriers, like that one, I believe, has a little kind of like infantry carrying compartment. You have fuel trucks, which that one just seems to have like a tiny amount of fuel in it. You have a hilarious little lorry that turns up, and then the star of the show. You have a little truck with a little crane on the back that has what looks like basically a little portable office with War Thunder on the side of it. So somehow this box has got itself in the middle of a military parade. And yeah, it's literally stamped with War Thunder. Now, this, as I said, I'm pretty sure is just one of those times which kind of has like happened when it comes to War Thunder and also Gaijin over the years, of just something ridiculous happening, like or something that, probably wasn't thought about, how much of an effect it may have, especially with the specific tensions in the world that's going on. Stuff like, you may remember in certain images, there was a artist which used a digital asset for clouds, which was actually a reprint of the Challenger. rocket disaster, right? So stuff like that. This feels like one of those moments once again where completely out of like Gaijin's control, this thing has just appeared like in this convoy and it's obviously just gonna cause people to go nuts. So I thought we would talk about it and like kind of go through it and show you where it is. But just understand, like my opinion on this, there is no way that like Gaijin is like doing this to like sponsor like the Russian military or like get involved in the Russian military in those types of ways. I honestly feel like this is just one of those series of unfortunate events moments where it's just turned up randomly and people have found it. This video has about 100,000 views at the moment. So there's a lot of people who've seen this and maybe they just didn't notice it, but it's just so random that that is a thing because the rest of the video is just like obviously vehicles being transported, right? Some infantry vehicles, there's some fire truck vehicles, there's general logistics vehicles, but just in the middle of this convoy, there's this little War Thunder one. And yeah, and I'm sure Gaijin will put out like a statement about it, or they probably won't because they don't want to annoy anybody. But at least from my opinion, and obviously I don't talk for Gaijin, right? Like I'm not a person who would ever do that. I don't work for the company. I'm not employed by the company or anything like that. I'm just like a person who plays War Thunder. So, like, when it comes to this, it just seems like such an annoying thing to deal with from a company point of view. Like, I can just see like the PR department just being like, not again. Why do we have to deal with this? Oh my god. But yeah, so in the rest of the parade, obviously T-34 85s. That's something that's usually a staple in the Victory Day parades. They also have, if I remember, like an SU-85 or an SU-100, which I think is really cool. So those are also going along. But I suppose one of the things to note, at least with this parade, if you see some additional content from Gaijin around it, maybe that's what they're doing. Or maybe, as I said, it was just maybe it was just an office that was used by the War Thunder guys for something else. And then it's being transported to Moscow because of the fact that they wanted to kind of like move it to another area and they haven't taken the icon off of it, right? Or maybe they're doing some research into some Russian stuff, or maybe there is, other things afoot. It's always just so ridiculous to like see those things. There's a ton of T-34s this year, by the way. There's the SU-100, which also has turned up, which is pretty cool. By the way, in one of the early games comms, Gaijin did actually bring along some vehicles, which was pretty cool. And I think one of them was either this SU-85 or SU-100. I'm pretty sure they're SU-85s, but I might be wrong about that. The gun does seem pretty long, so it might be 100s. But yeah, I'll leave a link to this video in the description because I understand, obviously, with the invasion of Ukraine and tensions across the world being incredibly high, not just with that, but with China and everything else. But for me personally, I actually enjoy kind of just watching these parades just to see what vehicles are going to be in them and also just seeing what different nations have access to. So I try and put like the political stuff aside and just have a look at what's kind of going along. And I know that's pretty hard nowadays to do, and even if you try and do it, there's going to be some visceral reactions from a bunch of different people. I love it how this guy's just at a bus stop, by the way. Like, just there's a bus stop on this goddamn motorway. It's just wild. I can't even imagine a bus stop on a motorway where I'm from. But yeah, there's a bunch of like police cars too that are obviously transporting things. Some more BTRs rolling in, just going chugging along as they do. And then some of the big boys once again. But yeah, I get that there's going to be a visceral reaction when it comes to this video. I understand that that is the case. But what I want to say before that happens, at least from my point of view, I don't think this is anything serious. I don't think this is something to get annoyed about. I don't think this is something which is worth like getting aggravated about. I think this is just something that is just one of those weird moments in history where two things collide randomly, and then people are going to read way too far into it compared to what is actually going on. So just be a little bit mindful of it. I will leave, as I said, the video in the description so you can check it out yourself. Because there is, way more of this video, right? Like there's a ton of other vehicles that are going in, or maybe you could just kind of watch the parade when it happens, which I think is something I'm going to do this year because it actually looks like they have some interesting stuff, unlike the last few, which have been crap, to be honest. There was a really cool Nigerian parade that was a few years ago. And I'm sure many people are very much familiar with the North Korean parades, which are hilariously edited. Like the Su-25 Top Gun North Koreans is probably one of my favorite things out of any parade. And then also at the same time, having other things such as the Chinese parades, which we haven't had one for a long time. It would be cool to see a Chinese parade. And then maybe we could get some other parades, like maybe Germany. Now that they're starting to ramp up their military stuff, maybe they could have a parade. Obviously, with Bastille Day, you get the French parade, which is really cool. Maybe Britain could have one with its like 3 challenges that it has. And then America. We need like a good American parade. We haven't had a good one in a long time. Let's get the Americans like going when it comes to parades because it's time to have a bit of fun and see all the cool stuff that they have. Poland also has some really cool parades, by the way. They always do some big like shows of like their equipment. They did one last year, which was just wild. It's amazing. Poland literally like their military budget is huge, and they buy everything. And once again, it's just really interesting to see all of their stuff. But I'll leave it here for now. Hopefully, all of you guys have a wonderful day. Hopefully everything is good. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.